Welcome back, folks. After a week of break, unscheduled break, thanks to the coughing virus called COVID, I'm finally back. And alongside me is Nick. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing alright. Missed last round, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Hope you feel better now tonight.
Well, I might just cough up a few puns or two, or actually cough, for real. But yeah, I think we had a pretty amazing Vegas GP last time out. Uh, it's a real shame we missed it, and it was a last minute call as well from me. So apologies to our viewers who have been following us quite diligently throughout the first 6 races of the season. We missed number 7, but yeah. Sharis won the race out on track. However, he had a on-track infringement which resulted in a 10-second penalty and 2 penalty points in post-race, and that meant he dropped down to P5 for retiring on the track during qualifying. And guess what? Our good old contender in P2, as usual, Switz as well. Well, he got the same infringement in qualifying, so apparently people forgot how to qualify for one race. And with on-track infringements, there were some first timers on the podium as well. One of them being Elia in the Alpine. So he picked up his first MSRL podium here, P3 for him. Well done. And he also picked up driver of the day, if I'm not mistaken. It was quite a drive to come back from the fringes of top 10, I think was it, and then all the way up to P3 with that amazing drive. So we missed a lot, but we're here for Abu Dhabi. We can't complain too much because this track is also known for providing all the racing spectacle, Nick.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting race tonight. But yeah, unfortunately, a couple of penalties last round, and you can see how many positions you just dropped, especially if you're at the top pack from just making small mistakes like that. I think people should really think about what they're doing to keep themselves on their feet, or else things might not just work well for them.
Yeah, exactly. And with safety cars right at the end of the sessions as well, sometimes a lot more risky than early session, because you tend to not pull up that much of a gap after the safety car, and that means every second of penalty that you have racked up is going to be causing you a lot more in the actual race. So that's what happened. That's what's always been happening in sim racing, Nick, to be fair. And time after time, even the best of us can get caught out by all this petty stuff. But petty for some, and opportunity for the others, as we've seen last week in Vegas, or at least we've just seen through our stewarding at the very least. But yeah, I think we have 14 drivers out here today. Switz will not be joining us because it's kind of getting late for the guy. And we have a few drivers who are out of town as well. So we're down to 14 runners only for today. But that doesn't mean the action is going to stop out on track here. We are ready to go. And that means, well, drivers will be gearing up for the short qualifying, which is about to be greeted right after this. And I think every driver has gotten the signal to get going, and we will be joining them shortly on track. Nick, what do you expect here in Abu Dhabi, compared to real life? We have seen some action. What do you feel is probably the likely outcome given the track layout that we have here?
I mean, if Sharis is able to keep themselves out of penalties this time around, I think, as usual, Sharis is going to take it home. But given how Switz is not here to take the P2 position, maybe we get a new P2, or maybe get a new podium shuffle in the grid. That's going to be very interesting. I think that's something we gotta look out for. But you also know that the Mercedes has another teammate, Nabil, is out here as well. So we have to see what they could bring out to the field this time around. And that's going to be very interesting. It's a smaller grid than usual, 14 drivers tonight. So it's anyone's game to get the remaining spots on the podium, and I think everyone's going to be trying to get as much points as they could for this time around.
Exactly. Make that 15 as Vumax, the other Williams, finally joins us. It is quite a rush for everyone to join in as well after the real life Abu Dhabi Grand Prix qualifying just ended about 25 minutes ago. And yeah, we always admire the dedication some of these drivers have 8 races in, and we're still getting almost a full grid, which is always good to see. And it's proving that a shorter calendar season always tends to work out a little bit of a magic here. And we are also heading towards the end of the season already, and in just a couple of weeks it's December, and then it's gonna be 2 more races after this. We are heading to Monza next weekend, and then for the finale round 10 we are heading to Singapore. And after that, we'll have half a season of break, and then we have something up in ACC. Nick, would you like to announce that to our viewers today?
Yeah, if you are a part of the Basement Dwellers, or you're just you're a part of the drivers from Assetto Corsa as well as Assetto Corsa Competizione, we do have the Basement here, which focuses on sim racing outside of F1, and we have a league coming up for the Porsche Cup. It starts January. And if you're interested, you could definitely check out in our Discord, link in the description below.
Yeah, hopefully the links in the description are working as well, as YouTube tends to place some restriction on younger accounts like ours. But in due time, I think everything will be accessible. If you would like to, like us to link it as well, we'll paste it in the chat right after this. For now, qualifying is underway. And well, it's good to see drivers again coming out on track. 15 drivers out here as well, and we can see some intermediates, some soft tires, some medium tires, and well, it's just a banker run. It is a night race, Nick, so as they always say, the grip tends to improve as the session progresses throughout the day. So I wonder if drivers are going to take it easy in the first lap here, and then really send it on their second and third attempts here.
They could be, but given how many drivers are already out on the soft tires, I think some of them might just want to get their fastest lap as soon as possible, given that there's only a couple of people in mediums and then 3 drivers in intermediates. But I can see already everyone already queuing up at Sector 2. Abu Dhabi is a really long track. I think drivers should try to, get as much gap as they could between the drivers. But I think they're all trying to get a good tow for so they could get a good run for their lap times. But I think that will be very wishful thinking if they want to do that. I think we're gonna have a long queue as we usually see in Monza again. But that will be something that people need to be worried about. Need to be careful, as well as just remember that if you want to get the tow for Sector 2 as well, you might get affected by the dirty air here. So it might be a bit of benefit, it might not. So I think drivers need to test it out, as well as understand the risks, as well as the disadvantages of trying to do that strategy around here in qualifying.
Yep. And speaking of first one to be out on track here to set a lap time, there we go. We have Scientist, or aka Ernest, who's been showing us quite some funny clips and informational clips over in his channel as well. So if you do have his channel link, so do take a look as well. He's first one to go out on track. He's been putting in a lot of time, Nick, as we noticed, not just in F1, also in other racing titles as well. And you can see some how some of the drivers are really carrying their skills over from one game to another. And it's showing out on the track as well. Their results are improving. Their racecraft is improving, which is what we love to see, out on track.
Yeah, I think that's what I always recommend any drivers that come in for F1 do as well. F1 as a game is pretty fast paced. Sometimes you don't get to learn things due to how fast things happen. So I always implore drivers to try out GT racing, even not even GT racing, maybe TCR, maybe just road racing in general, just to give yourself more time, more reaction, just to learn the ropes a little bit more. Because F1, as much as we like to say it's like the pinnacle of sports, jumping into it immediately might not be the best option. And I'm glad to see drivers such as Elia, Ernest, and some of the other drivers as well. Actually, more than a few drivers on the grid right now in F1 do join us in the basement, and they always seem to improve, as well as you can see that they focus more on endurance more than sprints, and the results show for themselves of how good they race among each other.
Yep. And this guy here, if you are seeing, Izzy in the Haas, was the lucky guy to inherit the P1 in post-race after all the penalties have been applied. He finished just within 3 seconds, if I'm not wrong, of Charis, who finished the P1 in Vegas. However, with Charis's 10-second penalty given to him for retiring on track during qualifying, well, that's a punishable offense in most leagues, same as ours. So Charis lost the P1 down to P5, and Easy got promoted to P2, and Elia, who's currently down in P6, he got promoted up to P3. So quite a mix up there after that race, as we been speaking about it time after time. But yeah, always good to have a different winner here, and different drivers consistently showing up and having that a little bit of extra pace, or being that much closer to the pace setter, always helps you out in those kind of situations. I think Easy proved that out last weekend. And now we move on back to Abu Dhabi, which is sort of a medium high speed downforce level kind of a track, and you can see that drivers will probably rely more on the car, and there's a little bit more of skill as well involved here in these technical sections to carry as much speed as you can into these high speed corners. And well, some drivers may excel in that, some drivers prefer a slower layout, and we tend to see that play out in the respective tracks as well. First set of lap times are coming in, Nick. Only 8 drivers, 6 drivers have set a representative lap time. Everyone else is kind of taking it slowly at the moment.
Yeah, and we still have 10 minutes here, 12 minutes to be exact, and there's still a lot of time for drivers to set their lap times. But I've actually driven here recently because of the free weekend, and I have to say Sector 3 has definitely improved a lot in terms of how it flows here. But as you said, different drivers have different preferences. Some prefer to be some excel in the mechanical grip sections, other trust the car a bit more and be able to push their car through high downforce areas. And it really just comes down to what they prefer, and I guess it comes down to the principles as well, to where they come from, as in like are they just are they in solely in F1, or are they here since other road racing titles as well? And it really, Abu Dhabi has a little bit of both, a little bit of fast sections, a little bit of slow sections, and some drivers might get a good overtake, a good run on the long straights, while some might just be able to breeze past through long sweeping corners like
exactly.
in Sector 1.
Speaking of which, the 2 long straights here, separated by a slow chicane, are going to be your prime overtaking spots around here in Abu Dhabi. But that doesn't mean we may not get any overtakes anywhere else. Turn 5, which is the end of Sector 1, that little hairpin that feeds into the first back straight, it's also quickly becoming, well, I say quickly, it has become quite an overtaking zone in these recent years, especially when ever since we've had this new layout. In real life, we saw how Max Verstappen made the last lap dive into Turn 5 for his first ever World Championship. A little bit controversial, but we've all gotten past that. Yeah, Turn 5 is going to be an overtaking zone. Turn 6, which is the braking zone at the end of the first DRS straight, and then you have that another long run followed by a flowy Turn 9. It's a banked corner where we see the Ferrari of, well, is it Aswan? Yeah, the Ferrari of Aswan going on Turn 9. This is also the revamp section. By the way, the Ferrari looks really beautiful, the new livery there. Turn 9 here, as you can see, a banked corner opens up compared to the 2020 layout, and all these 90-degree corners, they are still 90 degrees, but the entries and exits have been opened up as well. Makes it a lot more flowing, which I like. And this second last corner is flat out in the qualifying. In the race, it's almost flat out. Last corner, it's the same, but you're just coming in with a lot more speed, so it gets a little bit daunting here. And across the line, he's still only about 6/10 off the pace right now, and you could probably just find 3 or 4 more tenths from track evolution here as the night goes down, as the sun goes down even more.
Yeah, I think that might be time on the table, but given how you can see a very distinct line between P1, P2, as well as P3, 3 tenths, actually 2 tenths separating P3 to P2. Pretty stark difference here. I think Easy and the rest of the grid might have to work extra hard just to get up to speed, or we might just see Charis and Zach just run the show away and just have the rest of the grid fight for the last podium spot. We might have to see, but a lot of yellow flags here. Not sure what the drivers are doing. Might be just letting cars by before the start of their qualifying, but you gotta be careful, not to trigger too much yellow flags. Don't want to be a hazard to the rest of the grid here as well. But yeah, really fast, pretty good flowing section here. Izzy might accidentally impede Aswan if they don't pick up the pace here. But I
that
think
should be fine though, because Aswan
should be
is
fine.
on his a little bit of his yeah, we saw him going for a fast lap early on. He's on his inlet. There you go, into the pits he goes. And Easy, who currently sits in P3 on qualifying pace, has 4 tenths to find out of somewhere. Well, he'll have to find it between himself, between the car and the steering wheel. That's going to be him and his inputs, and down into sector 1, which comes up really quickly here. So it's just the first corner that makes or breaks your sector 1, and into the turn number 5 here he goes. It's almost a 10th up. That's not too much of a lap time found there, but now it lines up, sets up the exit and onto this DRS, which is once again going to be quite crucial in the race here. It's probably going to be the main overtaking spot here into this braking zone, and then this chicane as well. Has caught me out many times, Nick. I won't lie about it. If you get a good exit, well, there you go. That's an overtake ready to be made. Otherwise, you're probably spinning into the barriers and calling out a safety car.
I mean, I think we have seen more than one incident here throughout our seasons in MSRL, and definitely not the most ideal corner, especially the fact that it's a very acute corner. As you can see, even on the track map itself, it's more than 90 degrees, and that really catches a lot of drivers off guard. You really have to lock the steering wheel just to get it into the entry on the exit just right, or else you're gonna lose a lot of time, and that's gonna cost you a lot, because it's a very long straight before the very big U-turn.
Would you look at that? Important. Beautifully done, Nick. And he's just 69,000. Nice number there.
Nice.
Just 69,000 behind Sharis. So that's more like it. That's more what we're expecting from the likes of Izzy and Zach as well, who's on his fast lap now as well. And he's just about heading into sector 2, and he is just about matching his personal best here. Not exactly lighting up the boards on fire just yet, but he has the entire sector 3. Now this is the sector where having extra downforce will be helpful in qualifying and in the race as well, to preserve your tires for as long as you could. And well, if he has any more pace left in the car, in the setup, in himself, this is where he's going to make it up. 2 more corners to go. One last corner, brake heavy, trail it, and then on the exit. Wow, a big snap there. Big snap, and that definitely costed him that pole position for sure. Lost about a 10th there. Stays in P3 for now. He still has 5 minutes, Nick, and he can go back to the pits and make another run for it.
Yeah, definitely need a fresh set of tires, but will he be able to make it out in time? Because he still has an in-lap, then he has to swap tires, and then he has to go out. If he's able to, he might be able to do it, but time will definitely tell.
5 minutes.
Sharis.
A little bit tight for sure.
Yeah. They're going to be very tight. Who was that who light up the purple sector? Is that Hot Stuff in sector 2?
It is Hot Stuff right now. The ever-flying teammate of Sharis, who, to his credit, Hot Stuff has been putting in the lap times here, race after race, and now he's up to P4, still 3 tenths off the nearest driver in the top 3. But P4, it's not a bad spot to be in, considering Red Bull are still leading the Constructors' Championship in Season 6 now, and their closest rival Mercedes and I think it's Alpine or whoever it is, they are always tripping on each other. And with Swiss missing out this weekend, that's a huge swing in the championship if both the Red Bull drivers could finish today.
Yeah, I think that the crucial keyword here is if both drivers are gonna finish the race today, because it'll be very important for Hot Stuff to finish good alongside Sharis in order to capitalize on the fact that we are missing a Mercedes driver tonight, and that will be very important for the constructors. Even though if Hot Stuff will not be competing too much on their own standings, constructors are still very important.
Another driver has been really impressing us in the past few weeks. Here we go, Womax. Hailing from Hungary, and well, was it Hungary or Bulgaria? Bulgaria. I think he's from Bulgaria, one of the countries. I mixed up the flags for sure. Bulgarian, yes, Womax is Bulgarian here, and he has been putting up quite some shows here or in this season, and we've seen him going toe-to-toe with Nabil at times. Not exactly the best qualifying performance today, looks like it. Still quite a way off the pace, down in P13. Last time out in Vegas as well, we saw from multiple clips posted by multiple drivers, and we saw how the Williams teammates Vumax and Hyman were going for it at each other, toe to toe in some sense, and nice to see they're not crashing into each other. First of all, that's the best. That's always the rule number one you say in your team, in motorsports: don't crash into your teammate. And number two, well, consistently scoring points, and they're actually just slowly eking at that P3, P4 position in the championship. Might even get a P2 here if they keep it up for this last 3 races.
Yeah, I think important is to keep it clean, even though we see Womax improve a lot. I think earlier in the season, Womax has caught themselves in multiple incidents that may or may not have cost them a lot of points that they are pretty crucial, and that's going to be very consistent in sim racing as a whole. Be consistent and be, conservative. No point trying to get more and more position if you're going to crash out. So might as well keep as much points as you can. That's the main part of racing. If not, you're gonna waste a lot of points, and you're not gonna be happy with the end results by the end of the season.
Yep, and we'll quickly turn our attention to another driver who, well, was the first-time winner last time out in Silverstone round 6, Aswan, and now who's improving almost 5/10. That is putting him very close to the pole position time right now. Vichar is yet to set his lap time. He has started his lap, so we'll wait to see how Charis is improving. In the meantime, Aswan here, 5/10 up by the end of sector 2. Now into the last 2 corners here, coming out of the last corner, a little bit safe there, not exactly fully utilizing track limits, but there you go, a 122.3. Aswan takes the provisional pole position. Now we'll turn our attention to Charis, who has improved by just about a 10th here in sector 1. Now he's finally on the soft tires here. He did his previous run on the mediums, mind you. So there's a lot more time left here. A little bit of impeding there. But into sector 2, nevertheless, he's still 2/10 up. And that's not gonna stop him. A little bit of traffic as well coming up ahead in the form of a McLaren here. And then there's a Haas. And then there's an AlphaTauri. I don't think he's gonna be the happiest person here if this car start getting in his way. And there you go, the McLaren gets out of the way just in time, and he's crashed.
That is unfortunate.
Well, that looked a little more of a rage, kind of a collision into the wall, and that has put him out of the qualifying session, which means Aswan keeps the pole position provisionally. We still have a little bit of time left, 40 seconds left for whoever wants to start the lap time. Easy, who's only a 10th, just under 10th and a half away from pole position, now improves almost a 10th here in sector 1 already. So that is putting him ever so much closer to snatching the pole position here today.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, which is how unfortunate Charis had with traffic here, that they just kind of gave up. But I think also we didn't realize this was that on the last corner, Charis basically invalidated that lap. I think they just gave up the moment they invalidated it, which is a bit unfortunate. To be fair, there is not much time left into this session for another lap, and I think they just found a way to hang it up instead of going back to the pits. It is what it is, but
yeah,
there you
go. Purple sector 2, Nick. Purple sector 2 by easy, 2.5 up here, already into sector 3 right now. This is where you can make or break your lap time. Excuse me. And into the last 2 corners. Well, it may sound that I'm laughing. Yeah, I'm laughing as well. At the same time, I'm coughing. So it's not exactly the best combo. But across the line here, looks like Easy might just take pole position here by 7/10 of a second. 21.7. He takes provisional pole position. Can anyone come close to it? Looks like, well, we don't have many contenders left who are able to achieve that feat. Charis, who could achieve that, was out. Zach has retired in the pit, so his lap is done. Scientist could not improve any further. He stays in P5, although he did improve by 4/10 there. Puts him quite close in the second row there. Hot Stuff is down in P6. Ayman in P7. We turn our attention to Elia, the first-time podium sitter from the previous race. Is still going for it on a second lap, but invalidates on the second last corner, and that is his end of qualifying as well.
Yeah, unfortunate, but hey, great to see Easy on P1. Actually, really strong P1 performance, 5/10, 6/10 in front of Aswan. That's going to be a very big gap. We can see very big gaps in qualifying, but can they survive the race here? It is a very long demanding track, and with how hot Abu Dhabi is, given that it's a desert. How will they play out their strategy here? That's the important part in this race.
Exactly. And tire freshness, tire life, everything comes into play around here, given that it is a hot race, really hot race. And we only had 50% race, so there's not as much load going into the tires as a 100% race would. However, drivers will still feel that pain at the start of the race when it's still a little bit dawn, a bit dusky. It's not dawn, it's a bit dusky. It's starts to set and the pace slowly starts to set in. So it'll be interesting to see if drivers would like to go for that alternate hard to medium strategies, which usually is recommended. However, safety car tends to spoil the day for many drivers. Will they go for a safer alternate strategy, being the medium hards, which is again the second best strategy to be around here? While we wait for that, I think we can quickly just recap what has happened so far in this season, Nick. We've had 7 races already completed so far. We missed the last one, thanks to me. But yeah, Sharis is now leading the Drivers' Championship. And if he gets, a point at least today, he'll be securing that championship quite early on, with only 2 races to go and not many points left to grab. I believe there's 2 races plus a sprint in Monza next weekend, so he only needs like 58 points, 60 points gap maybe even, to secure the championship by the end of today. Well, I've definitely missed the calculation for sure, but if he does that and Red Bull gets a good outing here today as well, I think they are pretty close to securing the Constructors' Championship as well.
Yeah, it's given how if you look at the results sheets right now, there's only 2 columns left, and given their track record, it's gonna be very likely that they're just gonna bring it home. What's more interesting though, it's the fight for P2 as well as P3. Switz being not here tonight, while Zach is here, he's gonna definitely bump a lot of points into Zach's standings, and that's gonna be a very interesting fight for the remaining 2 races for Switz. And if they are able to hold on for P2.
Yeah, and with points given for all drivers who finish in the top 15, there's a lot more incentive for everyone here today to finish in the points. We have 16 drivers, so someone is going to get unlucky today if everyone finishes the race, unless there's a DNF, which means everyone after that will score a point. And if you finish in the top 15 with the fastest lap, you still get an extra point for that. So it's always up for grabs, that extra point, which may come down to the wire by the time we head to Singapore in 2 weeks time. While we may have the Drivers' Championship almost sorted here today, I think like you said, that fight for P2, P3 in the championship is always more interesting sometimes, to put it at the very least, than the actual fight for P1 itself. We haven't had a tight championship for P1 in a long time. I think the last time we had that was all the way back in season 3 or season 4. But season 5 it was almost a tight one, but I want it at the end. Season 6 looks like a clean sailing for Sharis for ever since the season started. Easy joined us late, however, one would wonder how that would have turned out if he was in much earlier from the start of the season. Perhaps we may have another championship protagonist in the mix, with Zach consistently showing up in the podium in the top 5, however just being unlucky a little bit here and there. I think he's definitely missed out on the chances here. Destiel, who's another driver known for his pace, probably the only other person who could beat Sharis. He's been serving for his nation in the national service, so he's been out of commission for quite a while. We haven't seen how the both of them could go up, other than how they raced together in the first race here in Qatar. And well, other than that, I think other drivers like Switz and now Ernest as well, as you can see, he is improving, but they still have a massive work to do in order to catch up to be a championship protagonist heading into the last 2 races. So while we still wait for drivers out on track here, Nick, any last minute predictions for who's probably going to claim the second and third step of the podium? If we're being honest, Shari will probably win the race.
I mean, the fight tonight is gonna be a close fight between Easy, Zach, as well as Hot Stuff. I think all of them will really need to think about their strategy, right? Need to think about as making as minimal mistakes as they could, especially when the tires are starting to wear out. That's the point where people start to make mistakes, whether they like it or not, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. So that's gonna be the main point, as well as understanding their strategy in terms of getting another cut or not. That is the important point. Need to make sure that they are able to understand that maybe they are in a train that they want to get clean air and maybe pit in early, pit in late. Understand if their tires are gonna hold out long enough. I think this will really show which driver has the better experience driving in this game.
And a bit of luck. That goes a long way in sim racing, like we always love to say. Sometimes you can have all the pace in the world, but a little bit of unluckiness can actually ruin your day. As scientists had that first-hand experience in Vegas last week, and now heading into the race, 5 lights are coming on, and we'll have to see how long they are on. It looks like they are just pretty long enough, and there you go, 5 lights are out and away we go. And it is a good start for Izzy. Aswan drops down to P3, getting a poor start. Sharis up into P2, into turn 1. We see both the AlphaTauris swapping positions here in P4 and 5. And there's a lot more positions being swapped down the field here.
Very interesting, very clean first. I was gonna say clean, but there is a yellow flag. Who is that? That is Hot Stuff. Unfortunate. That might have been a very big incident happen there. Do they still have the front wing? Do you see that? And maybe not. But it was gonna be a very good start by Izzy, causing Sharis to go into P2. But Sharis now on the fight back, claiming back P1 and this very long straight here. Could Izzy fight back, or would he want to take it slow and just be behind them just to make sure he can secure P2 and not have Aswan jumping on the next possible moment?
Izzy seems to be struggling a little bit on the start here as he has fallen down to P2. Sharis has taken the lead and he's gone up into P1. And let's just quickly invite those who have disconnected here. And that is looking like, was that Hide that's connected?
Yes, that was Hide.
Alright, so Hide has been re-invited. And yeah, as you can see, Izzy falling back a little bit here at the start of the session. Start of the lap, but he's maintained his pace here in sector 3, so maybe suggesting he has a little bit more cornering speed over there. Aswan has dropped quite a bit there in sector 2 and 3. Now with these medium tires starting to fire up, and let's quickly bring up the tire selection here. Only four drivers here going for the hard tires at the start of the session, expecting it to be working out later for them. Zach in P4, Nabil in P8, Zenubi and Hide down in P13 and 15 respectively are on the hard tires here. So Hot Stuff has spitted. Looks like there is a wing change coming in for him, and another set of medium tires here to go till, well, as deep as he could into the race, and he'll be the one for sure hoping for a safety car later in the race. And it's a big old Red Bull sandwich.
Yeah, it's a big Red Bull sandwich, but also the fact that they will need to catch up very far away. That the gap to Hidir is so far that it's basically half the track away. So it's gonna be a lot of work for them, but they are definitely gonna be requesting for a safety car as soon as possible. But
that's an Alpine's going around.
And
that's Elia. That is Elia.
That's a curse.
Oh yeah.
That's a commentator's curse for you right there. Oh, and a very insane rejoin. That is not what you want.
Luckily, he's ghosted. Luckily.
Yeah. Well, that was a little bit of unghosting there, but luckily everyone caught it in time. That was definitely going to be scary for the harsh driver, but unfortunately for Hot Stuff, that did not pull out the safety car that as they wished, but still continue racing here as we see Sharis was playing the fastest lap of the race.
Aswan
still early.
Aswan corrected there. He was a little bit down at the end of the last lap, probably making a mistake. It's made a big push here, looks like it, and now he is finally within the DRS train of the top 3 here. Zach will have to give it a little bit of a push here. 6 tenths he has to make up to join this DRS train, and that will serve him well as the race goes on. As you can see, 4 tenths is lost already on this straight, and we have a move here. Shahe going for a move on the AlphaTauri of Scientist here. Gets his sweet little cut back onto the second straight here. And now with DRS enabled, he gets the DRS. And now Scientist doesn't fight this too hard. He knows that, you know, the DRS is going to make an easy pass here. And so Shahid is up into P5. And just a little bit down as well, we have a little bit of a battle going on between Zenubi and Zakwan. Zakwan returning as well, this time as a full-time driver in the Haas. Loses the position to Zenubi, but no, he challenges down the inside. It was a audacious little dive there, however, Zenubi holding his composure just nicely there to maintain that P11. And Womax has retired. I think he's crashed out somewhere. He has crashed out somewhere in the middle sector, looks like it. And that is his race gone. Or has he disconnected and the game DNF'd him for no reason. And that is an unfortunate ending for Womax here today after a good qualifying and a good race in Vegas as well.
Yeah, that is definitely very unfortunate. Unfortunately, that is just what sim racing is all about. Sometimes you just don't have the luck for connectivity, and it is what it is. Hopefully, we're going to be able to see them next round in Monza. It's always a gamble where the game will decide to DNF you or not. But
yeah,
it is what it is here.
And let's give some screen time to someone who's complained about it. Nabil now here being overtaken by the other Mercedes-powered car, Kenrick in that Aston Martin, whose teammate Lamp is not here today. Caused a little bit of an incident last weekend against the P6 AlphaTauri of Ernest, and now let's just swapping back with DRS here. Nabil now gets back at the Aston Martin, runs a little bit wide there though, gets the outside line. Now Kendrick gets the inside line. They are side by side into the middle sector here. Who's gonna break later? Looks like Nabil is just a little ahead, and he will claim that apex for himself.
Yeah, close fight between the two, very respectful. And I think Nabil's definitely going to complain the fact that there's going to be a very hard fight, but that is very respectful fighting, and we definitely appreciate the very good show that both of them are having here. Elia right now, right behind Hot Stuff, going to have the DRS. Will they both work together just to catch up to the rest of the grid? I think they should, if they really think that's true. Just give each other DRS trains through sector 2 and 3.
Exactly.
Give themselves as much as possible. Just have as little resistance as they could as they try to catch up as much as possible, because the fight does not really happen until the very end of the race for the both of them.
Yeah, and I think that'd be the best advice they could have if they're listening to us right now, to just carry each other along on the straight with DRS. Speaking of which, roles reverse. This time around, Kendrick gets the DRS on the first straight here, and Nabil will just tuck in nicely into the slipstream, making use of that these hard tires, which are starting to phase in just nicely. He's hanging on just nicely. 410 he's back. He'll get the DRS on the second straight this time around, but he won't be close enough to make a move. Or is he? Oh well, it's a bit too far this time.
Yeah, I think the not so good exit from the turn after the first long straight has definitely compromised their exit, and I think Kenrick just had a better run there for that corner. Speaking of which, Elia already has a 3 second more time penalty for track limits. I think this is gonna be a theme here if drivers are not too consistent with the track limits. This is, I think, one of the few tracks where you can kind of overstretch yourself a lot here in the especially in the last sector. So drivers have to be very careful, else it's just gonna rack up track limits again and again, and that will not be beneficial for their race.
It is not the hardest track to keep it on, keep it within the white lines. However, if you start to push just a little bit over the limit, you soon find yourself going over the white lines and picking up penalties. 3 of which you get 3-second penalty, as the game always does. And we are now back on board with the top 3. Aswan trying to pull away. Easy might have just missed DRS over there. And we see Zach and Shahid starting to bunch up just a little bit more. Zach, for being on the hard tires, he's still doing his best to maintain the gap, as he is 4 seconds now only to the next car ahead. So, well, if it goes uninterrupted like this, he'll be on the quickest tires, quickest strategy come the end of the race. So there's still plenty of opportunities for everyone here. Nabil and Kenrick, what can they do this time around? Nabil pulls off the racing line just a little bit behind that Aston Martin. The engine can get pretty hot if you follow too closely around here.
Yeah, I think the race is starting to settle down. I think if you understand that the best way to win here is to just be to reduce as much fighting as possible, and kind of see a couple of battles here on the grid. You can see like the likes of Zach and who was that again? But also you should see Kendrick as well as Nabil, all in their own little pocket, just fighting against each other. That will be very important, just to pull each other along, because the only one that has a fighting chance in the DRS is Aswan and Izzy. Whereas, everyone's so spread out, it's gonna be hard for each other to catch up to the front of the grid.
Yeah, looks like Sharis has made a little bit of a push here to break out of the DRS, and his effort has been paid off. However, he's burned off pretty much almost all of his battery. Aswan just sitting nicely within 3 tenths, and he's now counter burning his battery to stay within DRS of Sharis. So it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth here. Now here we go, Zach and Shahey. Shahey going for the overtake. Was it going for the overtake? Yeah, he went for the overtake in the first straight. Now Zach is trying to come back for it. Just runs out of space at turn 9 here. And into this tight and twisty section, it's all single file around here.
Yeah, it's you don't really want to compromise your time here in Sector 3, because it's just overall not really fun to drive here side by side. But if it was the last 5 laps of the race, you gotta do what you gotta do. But early in the stages, you just gotta make sure you keep your head down, trust the strategy, trust everything will go right, and soon things might fall to your favor, as we might get a safety car too if we are lucky.
Well, 7 laps done. We are now starting lap 8, and we may have a change of position here for P2, with Aswan falling out of DRS of Sharis up ahead. Now it's up to Easy and Aswan to work together to pull each other along, and Sharis is not exactly pulling away at the fastest rate of knots here, but that is allowing Aswan and Easy to get back within the fighting range here. And we have a little bit of a swapperoo going on once again here. Shahey now gets overtaken by Zach. These hard tires are starting to phase in just nicely into these early parts of the race as the sun starts to set. And now Shahey gets the DRS on the second straight, so it's double single detection zone for each DRS zone, so you get your chance on the exits as well. And once again, side by side they go. It's costing them a little bit of time here for sure, but they love to put on a show for us here in the commentary.
Yeah, but side by side coming into turn 12, 13, and 14 is going to be not as favorable. I think Shahir noticed that as well, as really pulled back as much as they could, just to make sure that they both don't compromise too much, because they actually have another AlphaTauri behind, Scientist actually coming in. As we see a Haas maybe miss their braking zone. Zach will losing a couple of positions here from to the likes of Elia as well as Hot Stuff. Might have missed their breaking point, might have some technical difficulties, who knows. But speaking of going back to Shah here, as you can see, right between the both of AlphaTauris as well. So if Shah here does not, make this as clean as possible, they might just have Ernest, catch up, and that will not be as favorable to Shahir if both AlphaTauris, execute their plan just right.
And that is another car out of the race, and I think once again the game has done a little bit of unjust here of unfairly DNFing a car that leaves the session. He has disconnected, and that has actually resulted in him being DNF from the race. So unfortunately we are down to 14 runners right now, and while all that is going on, we still have a little bit of a swapperoo possibly for positions. Aswan is finally almost back within DRS of Sharis up here. Easy is still fighting off with him. Shahi and Zach are still fighting on, but they are bleeding time as they go on lap by lap, so they probably should start working together here if they would like to sniff that podium anytime soon. As you can see into this middle sector, how the hard tires are really coming into their own right now, and Shahi, I think his mirrors will be full of that AlphaTauri behind him.
Yeah, and also if you see down the corridor as well, Nabil has already overtaken Kendrick. I think the medium tires are starting to degrade, as we see Kendrick, sometimes pulling a little bit of a gap. Nabil pulling a little bit of gap on Kendrick, but still pretty close to each other. I think soon enough, the medium tires might start to lose its grip, and that it will be the hard tires on their own for a moment, whereas the medium tires might go for the hard tires for the end of the race.
Well, 2 more laps. It's what the strategy predictions said at the start. We might get into the pit window here for the medium runners to go on the hard tires till the end. 12 laps on the mediums followed by 17 on the hards seems just about right. And we have a re-overtake coming here for Kendrick and Nabil. Well, Nabil, it's all the screen time you can get, and enjoy it as he gets overtaken here by the by the Aston Martin here once again. And he might just go for the repass here with him being super close there on the exit, 2.5 tenths. And with DRS, this might just be an easy move to retake the lead, well, not the lead, retake P7 away from Kendrick. And Kendrick's just working nicely with him as well, I feel here. That's the vibe I'm getting, as these drivers are just swapping DRS with each other to slowly catch up to Scientist, who has been running quite quietly and comfortably in P6. 5 seconds away from his teammate and 5 seconds away from the pair of Nabil and Kendrick. So nothing really turning out just yet, other than we can see the pair of Zach and Shahey battling it out. And I think Zach is really starting to bleed a lot of time behind Shahey's all medium tires here.
Yeah, I think this track really is more of the long game, and I think drivers are starting to learn to work well with their rivalries just to make sure they can get back to the rest of the grid. But as you can see just now, hot stuff.
That's some
As we come
penalties
in
there.
3 seconds. 4 track limits. Another one, second one this time around. You don't want that to happen, but especially for Elia right now. Actually, that's hot stuff. Was that Elia or hot stuff? I kind of forgot.
That was Hot Stuff who got the most
Yeah.
recent 3 second there. A little bit of a slide there for Zach as he tries to put down the power on his hard tires. Not exactly the fastest tires around in the world, but he gets a good exit nevertheless. Parks it right in the middle of the track here. Now it's going to be important for him in this coming 5 to 6 laps to push as hard as he could on the hards. Like I said, the puns are coming out today, and I'm coughing them out as we go. He's up to P4 here. We have a little bit of a yellow. That is Zach when he's going a little bit slow on the exit of turn 4. But nevertheless, you can see Zach now starting to pull that gap. 6 tenths already in the smallest part of the sector, which is sector 3. And now it's important for him to keep this gap and start edging ever closer into the top 3, who are still within DRS of each other. Aswan seems to be struggling just a little bit more compared to Sharis here, and Easy's been sticking quite comfortably within Aswan's DRS, and it's not exactly finding it easy to make the pass here for P2. And if he does, he would get up into P2 quite quickly here, and looks like he does. He goes for it this time around, and might he be close enough to get the DRS of Sharis on the exit of turn number whatever it is, turn number 8 I believe, turn number 7 or 8, and he is. So he's finally reconnected the DRS train that has been disconnected for quite a few laps. So Sharis not exactly pulling away just yet, so we may still have a battle here. Top 3 within a second of each other, followed by Zach and Shahid down in P4 and 5, still going at it at each other. So the DRS is pretty powerful around here, Nick, as we predicted, and he's keeping the fights alive for quite a while. Speaking of which, well, more screen time for our duo here. Kendrick and Nabil swapping positions again into sector 3.
You know, thinking about this, Izzy might have done the long game here, because when you think about it, Izzy might have just tucked in behind Azwan for the last 11 laps and just saved as much tires as he could. Because now, as the medium tires start to degrade, some drivers might be thinking about pitting in early to swap into the hards, whereas Easy, if they have still more tire life left in that car, might just go for the overcut, and that might, benefit them given how close they are in the top 3. And that's something that they might have to think about when they race.
Ooh, cheeky little move here
Oh
coming
my
in
God.
from the Alpine of Elia. What a move though, into the middle
that's a snap.
sector. Yeah, that's a snap for Ayman Haikal, who's run a little bit wide there, and that's opened up the opportunity for Hot Stuff to go on the inside. Side by side, they are into the last corner, and Ayman runs a little wide on the exit, and that
I think
gives
Ayman just got
P12
bullied.
away.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
I think Elia got a little bit of contact coming in, swiping in right into Ayman, so I think that might have affected them. And then Hot Stuff, not taking any chances, basically bully them into it. And unfortunately, Ayman, through the battles here, getting a 3-second penalty, and that is definitely very unfortunate. I think that's gonna be looked into if they have it reported.
Now, a battle that has been raging on since pretty much lap 1 here between Zach and Shahid. Doesn't look like it's going to be resolved anytime soon. But if there is a time, it might be now because the medium runners, the top 3 are into the pits already. I don't think Shahid can pit right now because he's going to have to double stack with his teammate. So for the first time in this race, Shahid is going to take the race lead away from Easy Sharis and Azwan here. A lot of confusing names up here. But there you go. Race lead has been swapped just probably for a lap here. And Zach will be looking to pump in his best lap times right now, and right as Shahid goes in for his pit stop. I believe at the end of this lap, Zach will probably continue on for two or three more laps before he mounts a charge back on the medium tires later in the race. Now, important phase here as well for the likes of Nabil and Kendrick. As you can see there, quite a bit of a traffic here. And they are continuing on their own fight, and we just quickly spotted that Easy and Azwan and Sharis dropping right between this battle here. So it's a little bit of a pandemonium here now, Nick, into the first braking zone.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate for Azwan as well as Easy. Both, they're all in traffic, but also all for position. As you can see, Nabil is definitely not going to give the position away that easy. But that's going to be unfortunate for Azwan because that's costing him time to fight against the top 3, because already Easy getting a very big gap here, and Azwan's going to have to work extra time just to catch up back to Easy as the fight continues as it rages on here.
Yeah, something might have happened there on the pit exit, because as you can see, Easy has lost 5 seconds to Sharis here, so that might just be a game changer here for the race win. And Azwan as well losing quite a bit of time on the safety car. Looks like there is a car that has crashed.
Oh no.
Is that Sharis who's actually crashed into the pit lane? I think that is Sharis who crashed into the pit lane. We'll have to ride on board with some cars. Looks like it is Sharis who has crashed into the pit lane entry. Or was it just a little snap of oversteer on the exit curb? As we can see here, Elia now running through with him. You could just probably make it out how the DNF happened. So unexpectedly, Sharis is out of the race. There's no safety car, and suddenly we have a
fight for the podium.
Yeah, the fight for podium is opened up. We have a race lead retaken by Azwan and Easy. Suddenly it's opened up once again for these two. Nabil is up to P3 right now, on track position. He's yet to pit. Shahid, who's made his pit stop, is up to P4 right now. Zach has made a pit stop as well. He has followed Shahid in, so he's going to be on the quicker tire right now. The battle resumes on lap 15 here between this the pair of this Ferrari and AlphaTauri here. Zach gets the DRS overtake around the outside with those medium tires. As you can see, a lot more grip around the outside, and now he will have to break out of this DRS as soon as possible.
Yeah, and given that Zach is on the faster tire, but there's still a lot more laps remaining. Can the faster tire survive this race though? Because there's still there's 13 laps remaining. Am I correct? Yes, there is 13 laps remaining.
Yeah, 13 laps remaining.
And the medium tire, even though they might survive 13 laps, will they still perform as good 13 laps into the race compared to the medium tire? I think that will be up to Zach to be able to maintain the tire as much as they could as they finish this race, as much as they could, just so they could eke out the last position in their podium spot.
Well, Zach is definitely trying to pull away here. He is deploying a lot of his battery. Shah is deploying a lot to stay within the DRS, which he has regained. Despite being passed in the last lap, and we have seen how powerful the DRS is, down from 9/10 the gap, now coming down to 6/10, 5/10 almost. So, all that hard work that you put in sector 3, well, it might just get negated here come the end of the turn. Well, the two DRS straights here, which are pretty long here. And that seems to be a harsh running one, and that is Zach just letting drivers through. And if I'm not mistaken, Zach has gotten DRS out of that. However, it's not really pulling away in the middle sector here. Now this is where he will have the advantage, as we may think, in the middle, in the third sector here, the mechanical zone. But it seems like Shah is just doing enough to stay within that 1 second magical window here.
Yeah, but actually, Zach can also think about playing it the long run. As much as they want to deplete their battery, they also need to think about the fact that there's only so much they can do with that. So they might want to think about maybe letting it easy for Shahir, recoup some of the energy that they might lose from fighting here, and think about the long run. Maybe get the DRS at the very last moment, have enough energy to just push the very last push for the last final lap. Things can happen, and I think that will be the better option, just so that they could, have it in control rather than always fighting for their lives in the straight.
Exactly, and just as you said, he's doing just enough on these opening stages, on this second stint here on the harder tires, Shahid, to stay within DRS range of Zeg, whose tires are going to be falling off as the stint goes on. And we quickly turn our attention to the battle on the middle part of this field. Scientist, who's made his pit stop as well, one and only pit stop onto the hard tires here. He's being caught up by Nabil here, who is on the medium tires. Made the undercut on Kenrick, who stayed out a little bit longer than usual on those hard tires. However, he is within DRS range of Nabil once again. So it's almost a carbon copy of what's going on between Zach and Shahid, and it's happening between Nabil and Kendrick. Medium versus hards, who's going to stay out longer, who stayed out longer, and now finally it's unraveling lap after lap, and it's going to unravel even more as we go into the last 11 laps of the race.
Yeah, I think both of them will definitely do not want to get track limits penalties here, just so they could keep themselves in the fight. It is really close between the two of them. I think both of them would be very happy with the very close battle that they had, and definitely been, Nabil's been, asking about screen time, and I think this is the best screen time they could get. Clean fights, respectful racing, and what else to show it off than in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and once again, I think he's lost a little bit here on the medium tires on the start. It's not exactly catching to Scientist any further. It's only 4 seconds up the road, and if he doesn't catch up soon, Scientist is going to pull away further and further. The battle for the top two seems to be coming to a halt as well, as Azwan is pulling a gap, or is that Easy who's dropping the pace right now, as we see the gap is starting to widen up to 3 seconds. Nabil and Kendrick, once again, I think they are back in business once again here, with the DRS swapperoo every lap to tow them up to the next driver, which is Scientist. However, not enough, just not enough between these two. The effort that is being put in by these two to catch up to P5 Scientists, not enough.
We could say it's not enough, but things could happen anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been reports that they may or may not have been contact. So who knows the condition of the AlphaTauri Ernest right here. So you definitely have to check to make sure that things are alright before then. But as you see here, Flaky fighting in for hot stuff. Will they be able to have it clean? Flaky actually does not have to worry too much about fighting for it, as hot stuff already has a 3-second penalty, but track positions do be something that you want to try to race anyways. But that is a question of, do they want to take the risk, or
8,
are they
9,
just
and 10 on 3-second penalties?
Say, all of them have 3-second penalties. Do they want to close the gap, or will Flaky just get more positions just so they could maybe eke out getting the 8th spot here?
Yeah, and there's about 10 and a bit left to go by the time that is resolved. So 3-second time penalty won't come to bite them at the end for sure. Elia, Ayman, and Hot Stuff are within that range. As you can see, Hot Stuff now already within DRS and trying to get past Ayman Haikal here for P9. And next up for him is going to be Elia in P8. Probably the best he could do today after that lap 1 spin for Hot Stuff here. And with his teammate out of the race, it suddenly turns into a 1v1 between Nabil and Hot Stuff here for the points in the Constructors Championship. Looks like we may not get a Drivers Championship sealed by end of today, but either way we might just see a Zach who's up there in P3. He might just be starting to find a little bit of a pace here. Still not enough to pull out of that DRS range of Shahid, and But I think either way, this is going to be a battle till the end for the last step of podium. Flaky now
Oh,
picks up a
no.
3-second penalty, so that makes it a 4-man train down there from P8 to P11 for 3-second penalties. And Zenubi, 6 seconds away. Can he benefit from that?
We'll have to see, but that basically neutralizes the race for P8 to P11. I think now it's just basically up to how they are able to survive in that small train of theirs. Hopefully, none of them get another 3-second penalty, but given their track record, they might, and that will maybe light things up again. But as you can see, just now you said, the Mercedes and the Red Bull, fighting for points. But it seems like Nabil here has the better pace. Would Hot Stuff be able to catch up in time? I don't think so, since Kendrick and Nabil both still, giving themselves DRS trains to pull away from the rest of the grid. So, if things could happen, they might happen at the very last 5, maybe 3 laps, as they actually properly fight for position. But for now, it seems like Nabil has it in the back for Mercedes compared to Red Bull.
Yep, another tight battle that is being fought in the championship is between the Alfa Romeos and also the Williams, who are still everyone is just fighting to get as high as possible in the championship. Blakey there for a moment, we saw him getting close at the end of that second DRS straight to make that overtake, but not close enough to make a lunge on the high speed turn 9. If that was a heavier braking zone, probably would have seen a lunge here, but it's still a little early, I'd say. There's still 9 laps to go, including this, and we'll have plenty of opportunity to correct themselves. Both of them on 3-second time penalties though, so that means it will have to be settled out on track here for either of them if they would like to take that extra point from P10 away.
Indeed, it's gonna be very close, I assume. But moving on, actually. This fight for P8, who do you think will turn out though? Got a feeling that Hot Stuff might get P8, but given how everyone has a 3-second penalty, who knows at this point? They might get more penalties, do you think?
Well, that's definitely a possibility around here as they start to push the limits towards the end of this race here. 7-8 laps to go, depending on which lap you're on, and we'll quickly bring up the tire selection as well. You can see Ayman there though, on 14 lap all hard tires here, so he'll probably have to make a stop somewhere towards the end of this race, maybe in a couple of laps time, to get rid of those medium tires. They're definitely not going the distance. He might just be waiting for a safety car, which we had 3 DNFs so far, and there's no safety cars, which prompts a good question. Is the safety car on? We hope so. We hope so. The safety car is turned on. Otherwise, I might have done a big old boo boo here with the there you go. Safety car are turned on, and it's just unlucky today that we have not gotten a safety car with 3 DNFs, with one being hitting the pit wall as well. Back to the action though, Nick. Nabil and Kendrick in the middle sector on this DRS straights from the nth time.
I think they're starting to fight now. They're actually starting to fight side by side now. I think this is going to show that Nabil and Kendrick might start to close the gap between them, and the train for P8 might start to close now, and that's going to be a bit of something that Nabil does not desire, but it is for their fight to get P6, and
there was a brief yellow there in the middle sector, in the last 2 corners. It was an AlphaTauri. It was Zach who actually spun.
Oh no!
Zach, who was running comfortably in P3 there, fighting with Shahir away for P3 at the very least. Now he's into the pit lane. I believe he might have picked up some damage here. Looks like it is. And no damage there. He's just going in for a fresh set of tires, possibly burning that previous set after that spin. He's down to P7 though, so this will have to be a recovery drive for him if he wants to take that podium position back. And at the moment, we have a top 3 powered by all Ferrari cars, and P1 and P3 big Ferrari. We love to see this, but what's happened there to Zach? I wonder.
Yeah, but also another question: why are they not in the softs? Are the softs not desirable in this track at all?
Good question there. I would have imagined he'd go for the softs with number of laps remaining here. Mediums might just give a little bit of a pace advantage towards the end of the session, maybe in the last laps or 2. But yeah, I don't know. That has to be a driver decision there. Sometimes the balance works just a bit better on the medium tires in this car. Sometimes it's on the softs. With 7 or 8 laps to go, I think mediums might just be the better choice here. However, good thing for him, he's catching right up quickly to this pair here, P6 and 7. And if it goes well, he might just catch up Scientist towards the end of this race here, who is about 8 seconds further up the road, as you can see, his teammate, and he's just crossing the start finish line right now, Scientist, and just a few seconds behind is this trio here. Now, how quickly can Zach get past this duo and set a blistering lap time to catch up to his teammate, eventually to finish back in P4, which, you know, I'd say probably would have been the worst case scenario for him anyway if he was overtaken by Shahir earlier.
I think it's gonna happen at this lap. You already seen how fast Zach actually catch up to Kendrick at this point, and Kendrick has to pull back. I assume from trying to defend from it.
But on the inside,
that's
makes
really
an easy pass, and with DRS, another move.
It's gonna be it's gonna be easy for Zach to overtake Nabil, and it's gonna be cruise sailing. I don't think Nabil will like to fight this position as well. I think that's gonna be wishful thinking. I think their goal right now should be to think about just let Zach by as soon as possible and just fight for Kendrick. I think that at this point it'll be safer. I think it's also more realistic as Zach already pulling away. I think Nabil's going to be happy that they get a DRS from this, so that it neutralizes the fight between Kendrick. But yeah, as you can see, so fast. I think was that Ernest just now that got a 3-second penalty that's not reflected for track limits. Did you see that just then?
That is Elia who's picked up a second 3-second penalty over there, but. Well, good for him though. There's no one within his 6 seconds right now. So P8 and P9 on track battle still going on between Hot Stuff and Elia over there, while Nabil and Kendrick are still fighting it out for P6 over here. Zach has already pulled out. Wow, look at that. He's already pulled out 3 seconds of a gap, I think, almost in the lap and a half or so, and it's only 6 seconds to go to catch up to his teammate. I think this is definitely possible here, and he might even steal the fastest lap in this lap once he gets past the finish line once again. That will be an extra point in the championship for the AlphaTauris. P4 and 5, not too bad considering how things have turned out in some races previously and how things have been unfolding so far in this race. 5 laps to go.
Yeah, 5 laps to go into this race, and surprisingly, I didn't even realize this. Zunuk radio overtook the teammate Flaky for P10. Both Alfa Romeos in 10-11, both putting in strong points for the team. Pretty good so far. And so far, there's only 3 teams that have all their grids drivers in the grid right now. Ferraris, with both of them still there. AlphaTauri, both in the race, and also Alfa Romeo. The rest are all single drivers. Definitely will not be beneficial for the Constructors' Championship this time around.
Yeah, big haul of points there for Ferrari for sure, and also excuse me, and also for the AlphaTauris, but down in P4 and 5. Best of the rest today. Looks like that's what they're aiming for. And we still have a few battles here going on between Kendrick and Nabil, who are driving solo for their teams today. Hot Stuff and Elia as well driving solo for their teams today. So it's not exactly over just yet out on track. We still have 3.5 laps to go, looks like it. And Aswan still leading away with 6 seconds gap. Easy has not made a push in the last few laps either, so he's definitely lost a little bit of pace on the second stint here. And we've lost Sharis early on with a crash into the pit wall. Somehow we've missed that. We did not expect to see him crash out. A question from the chat as well, just right on cue. But yeah. We digressed just a little bit, and we are back on this battle for the nth time again. N+2, N+3, N power of X, whatever you want to call it. Kendrick and Nabil. Once again.
I think Nabil might have to really think about it right now. When to overtake. Right now we're already at lap 27 as the leaders go by on the pits. Go by here at Flaky on the pits again. Definitely something wrong there, but. Coming back to this, Nabil might have to think twice or maybe 3 times about, when to overtake, what are the strategies, what are the plans, when, is it more likely that you're gonna have a good run and overtake? Because there's only 3 laps remaining. You only have so many opportunities left, and if you know that you're gonna exchange positions every now and then, you really have to start thinking about where you should be at the end of at the last lap, just to make sure you get the strategy just right.
Yeah, and with the medium tires that he's on, they're gonna start to fade. Right around now, I'm pretty sure of it. And well, there you go. We missed the team orders between the AlphaTauris, who are now back in P4 and 5. So Zach, it's crucial for him to keep up this pace and not allow Shaheh, who's in P3, to go for a cheeky fastest lap attempt by pitting late, and making sure they're not within that safety car or VSC window, which this might be the last lap for a safety car to come out if there's any. But it's probably a little too late here. Back onto the action. Nabil on Kendrick. Looks like Nabil is starting to, lose a little bit of touch there on the medium tires, which are not exactly the best tire to be on right now. Kendrick keeping his advantage right now, 6/10 into the last sector here. And can he pull away in the last 2 laps?
Maybe, but also you can see here Nabil also not trying to deplete their battery as well, just to make sure they have enough for the last push. That is very smart, because as you can see, Kendrick already has a battery full of energy just in case Nabil is able to catch up. And I think both of them are really now playing the game of chicken, just to see who is able to deplete their battery as much as they could at the last lap, just so they can keep themselves ahead of each other.
Deplete or not, looks like Kendrick might just have the pace here in the last 2 laps here, as we head into lap 28 out of 29 in race number 8 here in season number 6. Well, a bunch of numbers being thrown up there. Nabil just doing just enough there to stay within DRS range, but I get the feeling that those medium tires are not giving him the grip that he needs anymore. And battery side, definitely Kendrick has the advantage right now, having that just about 30-40% more than Nabil. He's going to be able to defend himself in this lap and the next one as well. Not over just yet. If anyone picks up a time penalty here, it might just result in a swing of the position all of a sudden. And you can see, coming out of the chicane, Nabil just maintains the gap. However, DRS, despite it being pretty powerful here, it's not giving him enough gap to close down. 6/10 I think is a little too much there to make a move coming all the way back in that second straight. Now into the middle sector as well. He'll have to keep as close as possible, as Azwan has finally started his last lap, final lap of the race. There is a time penalty picked up there by Ayman Haikal. I wonder what has happened there. Is he going for a fastest lap attempt? That might be just a little too late here if he's not lapped already. I don't think he's lapped, but yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to set a fastest lap either. He will need another lap to pull off that feat here. Nabil still within 1 second of Kendrick. Now this is the final attempt. What can they do?
The gap is pretty big. It's still within a second, but given how they don't really have much energy remaining, it's gonna be very wishful thinking for them to do. They might just deplete as much as they could, but I got a feeling that Kendrick's gonna do the same as well, as we see Zachman getting a 3-second penalty for track limits. But the pole driver of tonight,
there you go,
P1 Azwan on the final 2 corners, and that will be Azwan coming in P1 for this round in Abu Dhabi, and that will be
picks up
their
his
second
win. Exactly, and there you go. Easy comes home in P2 and make it a double podium for Ferrari, with Shaheh coming home in P3. Valiant effort there from the Ferrari garage. 1 in 3 in that beautiful red and white livery of Ferrari. And there you go. That is the top 3 settled. And here we have P4, best of the rest. Zach once again falling a little short there today as well from podium, but brings it home in P4. Scientist has been performing brilliantly so far this weekend. Brings it home in P5. Possibly the best team finish of 4 and 5. That might be it. Kendrick and Nabil, I think it's finally resolved here. Kendrick comes home in P6. Nabil just hanging on for dear life there at the end for P7. Hot stuff as well. Unfortunate there with a spin at the start. No safety cars to bail him out. Wonderfully done to recover up to P8 here. And there you go. That is your top 8. Elia is still out there in the middle of the desert here, possibly trying to go for a faster lap here on the soft tires. He might just be going for it. Can he steal it though? He's running low on battery here. He does steal it. So there you go, 24.3. Elia, the podium seater from the previous race, he gets the fastest lap this time around. And there you go, 1 extra point for him in the bag. Zanubi comes home in P10, the last driver to not be lapped. And there you go, that is the race completed around Abu Dhabi. And I think I can finally rest my throat for the week once again.
Yeah, it has been a very interesting race tonight, having the very big toss-up in the podium with how both Ferraris are coming into the race. A new driver at P1 instead of our usual Charis.
How often do you see an all Malaysian podium? It's been a while we've had that, but yeah. Beautiful to see all 3 drivers up there. Well, 3 Ferrari power cars, let's just put it that way. We don't see that every day, let alone a couple of Ferraris in real life. And we've had 3 Ferrari powered cars, 2 of them being the Ferrari the works team, 1 in 3 there. Beautiful. We're still waiting for someone to break that 1-2 duct here in season number 6. It has, well, barely been achieved in the past seasons. Last was in season 4, was it? Between me and Chris for the Mercedes back in Brazil. But ever since then, I think it's been a little tough to perform that 1-2 thanks to all the team balancing that we do around here. But we are inching that much closer with the Ferrari teammates here, pulling it off. Maybe with the Red Bulls as well. One day we have 2 races remaining. Next week we are heading to Temple of Speed, Monza. Can the Ferraris pull off a magical 1-2 over there, Nick? That is something we'd love to see.
Maybe, but also Monza is a track where everyone gets it wrong. So that is something everyone needs to worry about, or is it just gonna be a hot lap wonders wet dream? We'll have to see next week.
Yeah, and well, I think I can't wait to get off the mic already and head to bed and watch some other league races around the world at this time of the evening in some part of the countries, some part of the world. It's 12:30 a.m. right now over here, and I think well, I might just go open up all the gifts that I've stacked up in the previous week of this game, and let's see what's new in the game. But in the meantime, Nick, once again, I think we've had quite a good session around here today.
Yeah, it's been very fun. And if you enjoyed what you have been seeing, be sure to give us a like. Be sure to join us on our Discord, link in the description below. We have a lot of races coming up. We have the tail end of MSRL Season 6 here in F1, but we also have more races coming down as well in the basement. The Porsche Cup, again, is coming in on January. And we might have the next season of the GT3 League as well in ACC coming soon. But if you are interested, be sure to keep updated in the Discord down below. And if you do enjoy watching this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a race next week in Monza. So yeah, until then, it's been fun. This is Delvin as well as Newbie here commentating for MSRL, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.